Everyone, Drea here with you today from Anita Goodesign, and I am ready to teach you how to make a fantastic zippered bag. As you probably already know, we have tons and tons of great embroidery designs, but I want to show you one of my absolute favorite collections because of its versatility. So we'll be stitching today from Zippered Bags 1, 2, 3, which is a special edition. Within this special edition, you'll find numerous zippered bags in different shapes. Instead of just a rectangle, we have half moons, we have some squares, we have some good shapes, and my favorite is this hobo bag. So what you'll see is it has an elongated side, rounded bottom, and squared off top. This is the perfect size to make into a little bag or a crossbody with just a little bit of innovation. So we'll start off, I'll get you going on the basics of how to make this bag, and I'll show you a way we've jazzed a couple of ours up. So let's get started. Here in our embroidery studio, we have a few things laid out that you'll need to create this zippered bag. It is more than one file, and it'll take 2 hoopings to complete this. That way you have a design on the front and also on the back. This gives you extra detail in your beautiful bag, so it's wonderful from all sides and not just the front. So in all of our zippered bags, we start by hooping a piece of cutaway mesh. Any brand is fine. We like that for stability and the softness within your zippered bag. So I have that hooped. That's all I need to start with. Make sure you have your tutorial ready. And we'll begin here today by stitching the front of the bag. What we've done though, for time's sake, is we went ahead and we stitched the back of the bag following the exact same process. You can see here there are beautiful quilting stitches, and it has some dimension and depth because there's batting built into this beautiful back here. Now this is the same construction as a quilt block. So if you're familiar with our quilt blocks, you already might have those wheels going and know you can stitch these as quilt blocks too. So let's get started. My mesh is hooped. We're gonna load it in the machine. And remember, I have stitched my back. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with my front file. Once that's ready, you'll get your first step, which is a placement stitch for your zipper. Any color thread is fine for this. Let's get going. The placement stitch here also gives you the approximate size of the bag finished. So this will help you get a good visual representation for what your bag will look like. With regard to zippers, we just use any nylon zipper that can be stitched with here. You don't want a metal zipper because those teeth can be a little tricky to work with in your machine. Any color is fine. Size-wise, too long is always better because you can trim off any excess. And I found one that coordinates somewhat with my fabric. You can use, again, anything that's your preference here. Now that our first step is complete, let's remove the hoop carefully from the machine and look at our placement stitch here. You'll notice that our placement stitch has these lines in the top that look almost like a road. These are for you to easily place your zipper. Now there are 2 tips I always like to tell people when placing your zipper. Use the lines and use your tape. Those are the 2 main things to remember. The top line is where the top of your zipper should go. The teeth will go on the middle, and the bottom, of course, is your bottom line. The head of the zipper just needs to be out of the way. You can place it on either side. Just make sure it is out of the way and we'll tape over it. So let's align our zipper. Take your time with this step. It might seem silly, but if your zipper is crooked, it'll make your bag harder to open in the end. So the teeth, you're going with the middle. Align it carefully, and then you'll get some tape. We love our embroidery tape here. I like to tape over the head of my zipper to make sure it's out of the way. And then again, adjust, pull it nice and taut, and then tape on the other end. Now this next thing is optional, but it's one of my favorite tips. Once it's taped down, gently flip your hoop over and look and make sure you've aligned it exactly how you think. I know that might seem silly, but taking that extra moment to check the teeth of the zipper and their alignment can really affect the overall usefulness of your bag. Nothing's worse than a zipper bag you have to yank on to open, so we want to make sure it's nice and tight and aligned well here. Once you're satisfied with that, smooth down your tape and then reinsert your hoop into the machine. Your next embroidery step will be a tacking stitch for your zipper. Again, you can use any color you prefer for this. I'm using one as an accent so you can see what we're doing. It'll tack your zipper in place. As a good rule of thumb, while you're stitching this, you'll notice it tacking. If you see those tacking stitches too close to your zipper, you might want to adjust your placement. This looks exactly where it should be, so we're doing great. That tape is your friend. It'll also tack the top and the bottom, so be patient. You'll also notice while this is running that our tacking stitches always go twice. That's to ensure that everything is nice and secure and nothing shifts during the creation of your project. You'll see that with our zippers, our fabric, any applique, anything we do at Anita, you always have that double stitch for your tacking. All right, now our zipper is tacked. We're going to leave it taped because we do not need to worry about that right now. And the next thing we'll do is we'll go through and we'll create our zippered bag with our fabric. Now we have a printed fabric, just a regular cotton. And for the video's sake, so you can clearly see, we've added some backing onto the back side. That way you can see the white is the back and we have our printed fabric on the front, just to make it a little easier for you to see what's happening. If you do have a lot of stitches going onto your design, this doesn't have much, but if you have a lot of stitches going on to the design, we do recommend adding on some backing just to help stabilize your fabric, keeps everything nice and smooth and taut. This is a folding stitch that tacks your fabric. That way there are no obvious edges or seams. And it is a really simple technique that gives you a very professional and polished finish. So once this tacks, we will go ahead and fold it up nice and taut over the line that it is creating here for us. So you technically can, again, do this part with your hoop in the machine. I like to take it out just to make sure that everything is nice and smooth. So we'll carefully remove our hoop, fold our fabric up so it's nice and taut. Give it a good finger press, finger crease here. Make sure everything is folded down. If you need tape, that's fine. For heavier fabric, we'll put our hoop back in gently, and then everything will be ready to tack. So smooth one more time. Again, make sure it's nice and taut, nice and pretty, and we will have our tack. So once your top fabric is attached, then you'll have some quilting stitches, your decorative stitches that go on top. Now I've selected a scallopy kind of wave stitch here, but there are 10 different shapes of bags here, as I mentioned before, and 11 background or quilting designs. So I chose this kind of scallopy wave here, but there are some geometric shapes, there's some circles, there's a stippling pattern, and these are a beautiful background or base. You can also use these shapes as quilt blocks as well. So while this is stitching, I'll go ahead and run my next step. That's my decorative fill here, my beautiful kind of scallop stitch. I want to show you a couple of designs that we've kind of spiced up a little bit using the options in this collection. So here they are. I have just a few of my favorites with me. There's a smaller bag, this beautiful shape here. It's kind of a rounded trapezoid. You can see the different quilting stitches here. We have another hobo bag with a zigzag, the large rectangle, and you can see the scallop pattern here. This is one of my favorites. We've taken another hobo bag, used two fabrics, one on the front and one on the back. We added in a little strap so you can carry it. If you wanted a longer strap, I would obviously need a longer one. Just measure that out to your preference. And then we even added some little fringe on the bottom, so you have this custom little carry bag. Now, these are super precious as they are, but this collection also includes 50 different embroidery designs that you can merge in and place them wherever you want. There are flowers, butterflies, birds, a whole set of monograms, and more. So I'll show you one we added in here. We put just on the corner of this bag a beautiful floral that we thought would spice it up a little bit. We kind of coordinated our colors, made it very simple, but you can do any pattern, anything you can merge in size-wise. Any of our other Anita Goodesign collections or something custom maybe you've created will fit on these bags. So you have tons of possibilities with these. So this, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, is probably my favorite zippered bag collection because of all the options. The quilting stitches, the embroidery fills, the merging in designs. On top of that, there are 12 different make your own fabric blocks. So if you're a scrap stasher, I know you are, I am. We have all those little pieces that we can't quite get rid of. There's some folded fabric blocks that are included in this to make your own background fabric. So you can do embroidery, you can do quilting, and you can put it all together to get great zippered bags with this collection. It's a special edition for a reason. It is fantastic. Now we finished our top. The bottom section of the bag is created the exact same way. So I have a larger piece of fabric here. I chose the same pattern, but you can spice it up. I want to make sure that I have my back and my front. It's nice and flat. So I'm going to place it face down, and I'm aligning it with the opposite edge of the zipper, so bottom edge. I know that seems counterintuitive, but when we fold it, we're going to fold it down, so it'll be coming in. I know there's not much to see yet, but we're going to do the same thing again that we did with our top piece. So our folding stitch here allows it to tack, then we'll pull it down taut. And remember, if this video is moving a little faster for you, the tutorial has all the printed directions, all the photographs, and all the machine steps. Here at Anita Goodesign, we are passionate about our collections, their quality, and our education. So we always give you all the directions you need to be able to follow them and create them on your own. We're tacked. Let's fold. It's ready. So we're going to fold it down. We'll do this one in the hoop because it's big. Fold it straight down. Give it a good smooth out. That was super simple. And then we'll tack it down. Again, I'm using a color you can see for the video. Typically we would match our fabric, but I want you to see what we're doing. I like to use fabric that's a little larger than I need, just in case. You can always take that excess and use it later. So it's going to go through and tack. It will go back and do that top edge. So we're going to continue our tacking stitch here. Everything is going to be nice and secure. And again, there is more fabric down here than you need. That is okay. We'll save it for our next project. Once it's completed, this tacking stitch, it will go through later and do an accent at the top. Don't worry about that. Just follow along. So I don't know if I mentioned, this collection does this step a little differently if you're used to our zippered bags, because these files come in lined and unlined, so you can mix and match and coordinate. Let's run our quilting stitches now. And then I can tell you about some other goodies and some specials we have going on. So this will take just a couple of moments to do the beautiful accent stitches, but I want to remind you that our gracious host, they are offering 30% off of Anita Goodesign packages. So any of our project packs, any of the good things that we have to make some of these zippered bags, and you know I have more to show you, those are 30% off. So that's a great, great discount. They're also offering free shipping on some of the products that they carry. So stabilizers, we all need those, adhesives, and scissors. Free shipping on any of those items. And they have buy two, get one free on their Madeira threads. Let me show you some more of these zippered bags that are on sale. I have a whole pile. So back here, we have a good variety. This is one of our newest critter cases. Now, this is not the only one in this collection, but this precious little cow has this little zippered mouth. They're supposed to be kind of smiling at you. They have great applique accents, so you can use some fun fabrics. Their front and their back are just as cute, and they have these 3D appendages, so ears, horns, feet, depending on the creation. There's a cow, there's a dog, a cat, there's a little alien. They're so, so cute, and they're made in the hoop. So no sewing for these, just like these bags. Your embroidery machine with our digitizing will do all the work for you. So I know by now you've fallen in love with this zippered bags 1, 2, 3. Get it while it's on sale, and you can customize. It's great for holiday gifts, for all sorts of favors and presents. You can put a few gift cards and some little goodies in there and make one for all your friends in your quilt guild, your circle, your family. I know that's what I love to do at the holidays and all year long. Nothing like a good, functional, usable gift. So here for this design, if we were merging in an embroidery design, merging in some extra little pizzazz here, it would do these background stitches first, and then it would do any embroidery that we've added in on top of that. That way it'll be on the front of your bag. Remember, this is the front portion. If I were merging in something with a lot of detail, I probably would take these quilting stitches and match them a little more closely to my fabric. You don't have to, but we like to keep our designs kind of from competing with one another. That way you get a true background effect. So don't be afraid to try tonal stitches. You know, we could have pulled a match for this that would be a little closer, so you could just see some texture instead of the design popping out. You can mix and match that again and get a true custom effect for what you prefer. Anything that we show in our tutorials, especially in this one that has those machine steps in the back, we'll tell you what colors we selected just as a guide. I always like to call it kind of our recipe for making the project. You can do what we did or something completely unique to you. So a few more quilting stitches happening here. You'll notice this is a combination of kind of a bean and a running stitch. That way everything looks like a nice continuous flow as though it was done with a long arm or a quilting machine, but it's all done in your embroidery hoop. And if you didn't catch it before, that tacking stitch under the zipper, that's coming later. These files are versatile, that way you can use them with your lined or unlined file. You want to make sure that you pick the one that matches your selection, your preference, and it tells you all about what order and how to load those within our tutorial. So this is coming along beautifully. These are a good size too. This is a larger bag. There are some that are smaller. When this one finishes, it's about a 7 by, I think 6'8" by 9'3". So this is a good size bag. You can see here with my scissors and some other notions. There are bags of all sizes in this collection, small, big, and in between. And each of the shapes, as I mentioned, has the quilting stitches. So this shape also has this set and vice versa. You can mix and match. So this is my all-time favorite zippered bag collection, although these are super cute as well and a lot of fun to make with their little animals. So your next to last step, if you're stitching the unlined bag like I am here, you'll have two things that are very helpful for your creation of this bag. You'll have this stitch that comes and accents the zipper at the top and the bottom. Told you it was coming. And then it'll give you some marking stitches on the corners to help you align your back file. So remember, we already stitched out our back file. It's the same shape, but you will notice it is larger. That's to make super simple placement. We've found that if we make them too close in size, if you don't align it exactly, it's difficult. So we gave you some wiggle room. Let's go ahead and stitch this next to last step. Again, it's doing our accent above and below the zipper, and it'll give you some marking stitches. We're so close to finish with this zippered bag. I can't wait for you to see how easy this is. If you've never made one before, I hope you're inspired, and I hope that you all remember 30% off on those Anita Goodesign collections, so you can make it right along with me next time. The marking stitches are in the corner at the top. They're not super visible there, but that's an easy space to align. It's going to give you two at the corners here. That way you can see again where to align everything. You will not see these in the finished project. It's just to really help you make everything as smooth as possible. This is also a good mark at the bottom if you wanted to add in some fringe like we did on this other one. You could absolutely add in your fringe before finishing your bag. I certainly would. Why sew it on? If you wanted to use these marks as kind of a placement for a thicker fringe, you could surely do that as well. But you can also see with my finished bag here that this one is about an inch bigger. So I want you to see the difference there. You are not crazy. We've done that to make it nice and simple for putting your bags together. So here comes that accent for the zipper, just to make sure everything is not only held in place, but super pretty. This comes at the end in this collection, again, because you have the lined and the unlined files. It uses the same kind of creation file for this last one. One more accent on the top. These little accents really add their functionality to the zipper to keep it taut. It also gives it a polished, professional look. I love when someone gives you a compliment on a bag and you're like, oh, I made this, and they're surprised, right? Because you have that professional finish. So that's what we're trying to aim for here. Easy, but sophisticated. All right, now we have one step left and two important things to do. Let's take our hoop out very gently. Let's place it flat so we can see what we're doing. If you've never made a zippered bag before, this is the most important thing you'll do. It seems very silly. However, go ahead and make sure that you open the zipper. I'm taking my tape off, don't need that. I'm gonna open the zipper carefully. I like to open mine about halfway, and a tip someone taught me, if you keep your little pull tab going kind of toward the right in the direction you're trying to move it, it's a lot easier to open later. Super simple, Don't knock it till you try it. It's very helpful. Make sure your zipper is halfway. You want your tab again to the right. That way you're easier to open later. I like to keep mine in the middle. Make sure nothing is obstructing, no tape, etc. We're going to use our corners to align. We'll take our back file and we're going to plop them down. So this one's nice and easy. Again, if you wanted to add in a fringe, you could put it right in between, but make sure that your back file is face down. You want the faces together. If you do it this way, you're going to have an inside out bag. You don't want that. So face down. You can see, again, it is larger than the front file. That is on purpose. If you wanted a strap or anything else, you could simply put that in here because it's going to tack across the top. Put it in, make sure it won't be in the bottom. You could just fold it up in this area, tape it, and then tack everything down. That's another reason we made this a little bigger, so you have some wiggle room. Now I'm going to use my corners to make sure my tacking stitches are aligned. Make sure everything's aligned up top. I like to go a little over versus under. And then best practice, once you're smooth, is to tape it in place. I've lost my tape. Just tape it in place. I'm just going to use one little piece that I took off my zipper. It's another great thing about this. It is reusable. You don't have to tape it, but it never hurts. Double check one more time. Make sure the zipper is open and everything's smooth. And then return this to the machine. Final step. So we're going to run our final machine step. It will tack everything together, and then you'll be able to open your bag and turn it through the zipper. That opening that you left, that's why it's super important. So just a reminder, because I know this looks different to some of you, this file, this back is a lot larger than the front to allow if you wanted to add in any fringe or maybe add in a strap, and it allows for easier alignment. So it is larger, so you will see some may get trimmed off. That's okay. We did that to make it nice and simple and a little easier. It accounts for any lining or any extras you wanted to tuck in there. You'll see the tacking stitch here is a nice thick bean stitch. Make sure everything is nice and taut and secure. It's going to go all the way around to the top, so there's no sewing, again, required for this. Best practice here too would be to match this thread to your fabric. I'm using, again, one that you can see, but just in case when you go to turn, we like to use that same color thread. We're just a couple of stitches away from a successful zippered bag. And done. So we will do a little trimming and have a bag. So we'll take it out. I like to take everything out of the hoop before I start. Place that out of the way. Then find some good trusty scissors. So for this portion, anything excess we can trim out. So I like to try and save my fabric as well. We're going to trim off any excess stabilizer. Remember, the stitches you want are these inside stitches. I like to leave myself about 1/8 of an inch of allowance. Sometimes if you get too close to these tacking stitches, you can accidentally cut one, or it can stress your bag when you turn it. So we'll go through. I can always do a second trim if needed, but I'm going to come in and trim off about 1/8 of an inch. All this stuff over here I don't need. So I'm trimming off all the way around the shape. Don't worry when you get to your zipper. That's why we used a nylon zipper. You can cut off the excess. And we're just going to go all around the shape of the bag. Again, leave yourself a little seam allowance just for that bag to be sturdy. Now remember, if you put fringe or something else down here, cut very carefully. All right, so this is excess. Let's get that out of the way. Around these curves, you can notch a little bit if you want to. You don't have to, but it is always helpful when turning. And then for your corners, anything straight, if you want to trim those at 45 degrees, that'll help them trim up a little more square, a little pointier. But remember, this bag does have kind of a rounded top edge. Let's flip over. Now this weird looking set here, you'll need your scissors. Where that zigzag stitch is here, where this zigzag is, that's right where you're going to go in, either with a seam ripper or very carefully with your scissors. And you're going to remove that little stitch and the stabilizer behind it. Do not stab down into your bag. Just barely catch that stabilizer and you can cut. I like to hold mine super flat, you can cut out some of this and then you can see your zipper. So I'm going to pick it up. I know it's hard to see, but I'm going to pick it up and go right through. Do not stab down. You will cut your zipper. So you're going right through. See how I'm in my opening? Don't get excited. Trim out that stabilizer behind your zipper. That way you can open it. Once we've trimmed this piece out, then you will have an easier time opening your bag. So I'll just toss that down in my trash. Now I can get into my bag. So you'll just go through. Remember, we have our zipper so we can open it up a bit. This is an awkward part to show, but we're just gonna turn through and get your bag right side out. All right, we've almost got our bag turned. Take your time with this step. You don't want to poke through. I like to just use my fingers or a turning tool, not scissors, just in case. Once we have everything turned, then your bag might need a little press. I always joke, you would too if you'd just been turned inside out. So give it some love. Once everything's turned, you can use it right away. So your bag zips right in the front top. You have your beautiful edges here, your quilting stitches, your top section. We're going to get this corner poked out. And then again, I would give it just a quick press to make sure the edges and zipper lay flat. So you have your zippered bag. We did it. So this is one that's plain. You'll have your quilting stitches here, front and back. And I'll show you his friend as well, that we merged in a beautiful design. So you can do either version. You can make them unique. Here we changed the color of that tacking stitch for the zipper. Here we did it in an accent color. So you have your options, but either way, no matter how you stitch them, these zippered bags 1, 2, 3 are so easy. We did that in just a few minutes. I didn't have to think or measure or sew anything. I followed the digitizing from Anita Goodesign in this beautiful collection, and I let my machine do all the work. All I had to do was place a couple of things, trim a couple of things, and follow those directions. Thank you so much for joining us today while we create this project together. I can't wait to see your creations, and we'll catch you soon.